Running errands always means carving out a few extra minutes to stop at the local thrift stores. There are 7 that are in the vicinity of Costco and the grocery store. We rarely get to all of them, but on this trip we did, so I thought I would take you through with me and show you my usual route. I check for quilts, check for fabric, browse the furniture aisle to see if there is anything there that is worth adding to a thrift with me video. I'm probably not buying any furniture anytime soon, but it is fun to look. I am always up for drooling over antiques. And I go quickly down through the framed art aisle because sometimes there is an intriguing piece of needlework that will jump out at you. Or sometimes there's something that's just fun, like these vintage camera prints. I like the details of those. Those are great. More Stanley Cups. I had never seen one in a thrift store, and suddenly they are appearing. Look at the colors and the graphics on this shoe shine box. It is just absolutely gorgeous. It looks like a circus wagon, doesn't it? I usually have to do a lap or two around the store to wait for the craft aisle to clear out because it seems like there is always someone browsing. I've found great things here in the past, but today there was absolutely nothing. Then on to the next store, and look at that. I love old wood stoves. I just get caught up in the nostalgia of them. This store tends to have some interesting antiques now and then. They've raised the price of their books, which is a bummer because I was getting a lot of really great books here. I'm going to be a lot more selective going forward because there are 2 other stores that have much, much better book prices. If I find something I love, the prices are still reasonable enough to splurge, but I'm going to be a little more picky than I have been. Down the housewares aisles to see if there is anything there that jumps out as interesting. I'm looking for a particular set of vintage glasses that I know I am never going to find, but it doesn't stop me from looking. I found one of these Westinghouse metal bases at the side of the road when we first bought our house, and so having one there with the roaster, now I can show my kids what that thing is supposed to be. First one I've ever seen in a thrift store. And the first one of these I have ever seen in a thrift store. Why is that there? Especially in a church-affiliated thrift store, you would think they would have got it where it needed to be. I should have had my son pull out the camera and take a picture of the bridge on the way to this thrift store because it is incredibly intimidating. And that might be why I avoided this one for so long. It feels like the thrift stores from my childhood. They have a room full of books. They are 25 cents for paperbacks, 50 cents for hardbacks. I have found some neat ones here, but I think at this point I've spent so much time browsing that I have found what there is to find until someone donates something else. The craft section is really hit or miss. I did find the Q snaps here and a nice vintage kit. I'll always dig through just in case there is something. And now we're on to St. Vinny's. Legos, I know, are crazy pricey. I don't know if those bags are a deal for someone or not. And there was a little Mill Hill kit. Why is that it locked in the glass case? The mystery of what they lock up and what they don't is beyond me. Cute little wool felt applique with salt box houses, cute little hand crocheted border. The craft section just isn't what it was, and the price of thrift store yarn, I swear, keeps going up and up. There must be deals to be found, but I am not the one finding them. Here's another of those vintage plastic sewing boxes. I'm curious if that is original antiquing or if that is dirt. If I hadn't just switched to floss drops, these would have been a great deal for smaller projects. I've got a lot of the big boxes, not many of the smaller ones. And then on to the next store that is the one that does have the cheap books. I don't know who prices them or how, but they range 35, 50 cents and frequently half off of that. I haven't seen the bundles of embroidered linens before. I've got enough embroidered linens in my stash right now that I don't need to consider whether I would spend $5 to buy a Ziploc bag sight unseen. Another milk glass lamp. I like the one with the cherubs a little bit better. This is a little local thrift store. They tend to have things. And this thrift store, I am sure used to be a bank. Look at the vintage Tupperware. I love that color. That is not what I would picture when you said Tupperware. I had to look for the logo on the bottom to make sure it was Tupperware. And Google Lens tells me that is Carnival glass. This is where I got my Carnival glass picture that sits behind me in my sewing room. They moved the craft section, and I finally had to track down an employee to ask where it was. There weren't any crafting supplies today, but at least I'll know where they are in the future. We actually made it to all 7 shops before my energy ran out. Thanks for thrifting with me. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle, and we'll be back with you with more videos soon.